In this study, we investigate how human and social capital influence growth of immigrant-run firms versus native-run firms. Our study focuses on understanding if there are differences in the revenue growth of small firms depending on the CEO's origin. We compared in total 5 groups, namely small firms run by native CEOs, those run by first-generation immigrant CEOs, and those run by second-generation immigrant CEOs. However, we subdivided the first and second-generation immigrant-run firms into 2 subgroups to distinguish between CEOs coming from an OECD country and those coming from a non-OECD country. Matched employee-employer data is used to investigate all incorporated firms in Sweden from 2005 to 2008 with less than 100 employees.
Based on assimilation theory, we hypothesize that second-generation immigrant CEOs have a higher language proficiency and a better understanding of their society that positions firms led by them to grow faster than those led by first-generation immigrant CEOs. However, segmented assimilation theory leads us to hypothesize that immigrant CEOs from OECD nations, which are characterized by higher education levels and more developed economic institutions, are likely to be more successful in adapting to Swedish business conditions than immigrants from non-OECD nations.
Firm growth was analyzed by using panel regression with random effects. Our results show that the CEO's origin significantly affects revenue growth. Revenue growth is higher in second-generation immigrant businesses compared to firms run by both first-generation immigrants and natives, but only for those who come from OECD countries. However, the average revenue is lower in all groups of immigrant-run firms. These results raise interesting questions. Could it be that separate capital resources, such as financial, human, or social capital, affect the growth of small firms differently given the CEO's background? To study the differences in growth factors among firms led by first and second-generation immigrants, we estimated separate models for firms run by the 5 aforementioned group of CEOs. We found the following.
Firstly, that CEOs' post-secondary education is associated with the revenue growth of firms run by natives, but not for any of the immigrant groups.
Moreover, we found that bonding social capital, which are the connections within social and ethnic groups that offer security and resource provisions within the group, is important for revenue growth in all immigrant-run businesses. In contrast, bridging social capital is a broader set of more diverse contacts, which is positively associated with revenue growth only for firms run by second-generation non-OECD immigrants.
Next, we investigate whether second-generation immigrants are able to break out from the traditional industry sectors and pursue opportunities in more high-value-added sectors. We found that the industry sectors of second-generation immigrant businesses resemble the industry sectors of businesses run by natives.
Our final analysis investigated whether the factors that affect growth are different between slow-growing and fast-growing firms. By splitting up the firms in growth quantiles, we found that the following are the 2 most important factors that affect whether a particular firm is classified as fast-growing or slow-growing. First, we showed that post-secondary education is positively associated with revenue growth for the fastest-growing companies. Second, we showed that CEO origin affects whether a company is fast-growing or not, as firms led by second-generation immigrant CEOs from OECD countries are 3.6% more probable to be classified as fast-growing than the average firm in the same industry and size that is led by a CEO that is a native. Our paper raises important questions for entrepreneurs, researchers, and policymakers regarding the growth of small firms. If you are interested to read the full paper, you can find it on the following website. Thanks for listening.